Hi, welcome to the show. Today, we are going to be making a few fun things, combining flavors from all over the world. My name's Dave Knight. I am the owner of Kilted Chef LLC.com. You can always find me there, ask me questions there, find our products there. One of the things we're going to do today is a curry apricot carrot cake. Okay, this influence comes from my love of Indian food. Curried carrots is one of my favorite things, and I just started thinking, why not blend that into a classic American carrot cake? The other recipe we're gonna make today is a BLT, kind of deconstructed, if you will, on the plate. It's not gonna just be bacon, lettuce, tomato in between two pieces of bread, okay? We've got some beautiful heirloom tomatoes that I got from a farmer's market. As you can see, I got some fresh carrots from the farmer's market. In Pennsylvania, there's Amish farms everywhere, and the produce is just gonna start coming alive right now. So if you're ready, let's get started. Taking what I have learned over the past 30 years, I have perfected this 200-year-old traditional honeycomb candy recipe, which led to blending of sweet, savory, and spicy flavors with raw honey. The generations of our past use this process to preserve the honey throughout the winter months, much as they process and stored fruits, vegetables, and other fresh foods. The result is a light, crispy, and flavorful candy. Our Kilted Chef LLC storefront currently offers 20 flavors of the honeycomb candy. The original is on display today. We recently launched our honeycomb candy sweetened tea line, featuring locally sourced and specially blended loose leaf tea from the Tea Spot in Colorado. We currently offer 4 flavors to choose from. Each box contains 6 pre-measured single-use tea bags combined with our honeycomb candy dust for an instant sweetener. I have the Earl Grey and Yerba Mate blends on display today. So visit KiltedChefLLC.com and place your order today. We currently offer shipping in the U.S. For military personnel, we really appreciate your service and offer free worldwide shipping for all active duty and veteran military members. First thing we want to do, and this is a really easy recipe. Now we're going to build this slightly different than just a regular 8 or 10 inch round cake, okay? We're going to spread this on a sheet pan. We're going to cover it with a classic French buttercream, build it up from there, and basically make what's called an entremet cake, okay? So the first thing we want to do is take our carrots on our grater and get them shredded. I'm kind of shredding these fine. The strands will help hold the cake together. You can do it thicker, of course. That's not a problem. If you do visit the website, again, feel free to ask me questions. I'm happy to answer them. Check out our products. While I'm doing this, send a big shout out to my wife, Angie. Without her, a lot of the logistics of this would be impossible. All right, a little bit of the third one and we should be there. I shouldn't need the whole thing. Okay, so we've got our carrots. Next, we want to get all our dry ingredients into the bowl. So our sugar, our flour, our baking soda and baking powder. We've got cinnamon, nutmeg, brown sugar, and a little bit of vanilla. The last thing I want to add is the eggs and the oil. So I'm going to get everything else in first. Here's golden raisins, pecans, and certainly if you're allergic to nuts, you can leave the pecans out of it. Now we're going to go with apricot jam. I use the apricot jam in the cake because I think it's a good blend, kind of bring in the curry and the carrot cake together, the flavors. And this is a curry paste. You can use a curry powder. I prefer the paste. I think it's got a better, fresher flavor. You've got a couple of eggs, oil, and last but not least, our milk. All right, just stir everything together. You can do this in the mixer, it's just as easy by hand. Now I'm using the back of the spatula to kind of smash it, make sure I get any lumps of flour, sugar, brown sugar, bust it up. Now one thing you notice is that deep yellow color from the curry. I can smell it from here as well. All right. Pour this onto a paper lined pan. This will go into an oven at 325 degrees. It should only take 12 to 15 minutes, not very long, because we're spreading it so thin, unlike a regular round cake, which has more volume and deep. And just spread it out. And get it as even as possible. The one thing about any of these recipes that I'm doing is I'm just having fun with it. Again, you're only limited to your imagination, so be creative. Try new things. All right, this will go into an oven again at 325 degrees for about 12 to 15 minutes till it's done. Once it's done, then we're gonna spread a buttercream across it. The buttercream I use is whole butter, no shortening, okay? And I'll explain that in just a second. Pop that in there. So the buttercream I use, classic recipe. I've used this recipe for over 30 years. What I do is I whip the butter first. I mean, it almost looks like finished whipped butter, okay? Whip the butter till it's almost white, especially when you're doing wedding cakes. You can take it to a very, very light almond color. It'll be just slightly off-white. You'll never get it perfectly white unless you add shortening. I just don't like that greasy film in your mouth, so I use 100% butter. Once the butter is whipped, in another bowl, I'll do a Swiss meringue using egg whites and sugar. Once that's heated up, I'll whip it up until it's a stiff peak and then combine the two together. And what you end up with is just something that just melts in your mouth, doesn't leave a greasy film, okay? Now, once we're done with that, again, once this sheet cake is done, we're gonna spread the buttercream over the top of it, cut it into thirds and stack it, okay? And what it's gonna look like is something similar to this, okay? Now I know it looks rough. What I'm gonna do is I've refrigerated this, firm the buttercream up. I'm gonna use a serrated knife to gently, let's get this off the plate. And using a sawing motion, I'll clean up the sides. I can see the film crew already eyeing the cake scraps, and that tells me I'm doing something right. And again, use the sawing motion. That's what a serrated knife is for. Don't just push, you end up mashing everything. All right, once I've got a clean side, roughly 1.25 to 1.5 inches wide, gently slide the knife underneath, like so. And you can use a little bit of apricot sauce, which is just apricot and simple syrup, which is sugar and water. Lighten it up and basically just spread that across the plate. I'm gonna grab my piping bag real quick and do some piping on the top and show you some piping skills. All right, so let's do some finished piping on this cake. And I'm gonna do some other piping, just real simple stuff that you can do at home. I'm gonna take some of the buttercream here. Okay, first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna twist the back of the bag. That way when I'm squeezing, nothing's gonna come out from behind my hand, okay? The best way to explain this is the more pressure I put on the bag, the faster the buttercream's gonna come out, the faster I need to move the bag while I'm piping, okay? So for this one here, we're just gonna do something real simple. And this is just basically a figure 8 right on down. One edge. That just kind of spruces it right up. So here on the board, I'm gonna redo that and I'll show you what it looks like. So again, the harder I squeeze the bag, the faster the buttercream's gonna come out, the faster I need to move the bag, and vice versa. The less I squeeze, the slower the buttercream comes out, the slower I move the bag. So to do the figure 8, just like that, okay? To do a set of shells, I'm gonna squeeze and just give it a little bump. Like so, okay? To do a reverse figure 8, and these are separate. This was one long strand, and these are gonna be separate. So I do a curl, stop, reverse, stop. And those are just some 3 really easy ones. A rosette, if you wanna do that, think of a spiral staircase, okay? Start at 12 o'clock, stop at 12 o'clock, and finish pulling off. So where I start, I come around, stop squeezing, and just kind of pull it off. I don't want to pull straight up, okay? Think of golf and just the follow through, just like so. Then there's the piping, real easy to practice. A lot of piping, don't get frustrated. A lot of it is just building the muscle memory in your arm and your hand, okay, to control the bag, and that's just practice, all right? Curry apricot carrot cake, some basic piping designs for you. Thank you. All right, welcome back. So for our next recipe, we're gonna do a deconstructed BLT, okay? So I've got croutons in the oven, I've got some crispy bacon, I've got a really nice balsamic vinegar, some virgin olive oil, baby heirloom tomatoes fresh from the market, my baby greens, the carrot tops that I saved. I'm gonna use these as the greens and a little bit of finishing salt here, okay? This is a really easy recipe, a really nice appetizer for guests. All we're gonna do is take our tomatoes, slice them in half lengthwise. Again, have a nice variety of tomatoes, nice variety of color, okay? Let me check on these croutons real quick. And they are done. All right, so to construct this plate, I'm gonna take a little bit of balsamic and just right down the center of the plate, a little bit of olive oil, gonna drizzle that, and just randomly place your tomatoes. Use a good variety of color. Some of these little babies in there. And if you have a few extra, that's fine. You don't have to use them all. And then we're going to tuck our greens in. I'm just randomly spaced. There's no rhyme or reason to any of the patterns. I just want to make sure I'm not turning the bottom side of the leaf up. So in other words, I don't want to use that side. I want to use the top side, a little brighter green. Take some of your crispy bacon. Again, this is just rendered on low heat. And we're going to want to chop this really fine. Again, knuckles curled. I'm riding the knife on the end of this knuckle, keeping my fingertips out of the way. Chopped fine. And just randomly sprinkle that down. Take a little bit more olive oil. Kind of follow the tomatoes. And last but not least, just a light sprinkle of the finishing salt. And again, if you notice, I'm sprinkling from up high. This disperses the salt a lot better, okay? If I go down low, I might end up with what I call hot spots of salt, or I'll get big clusters of salt, and it's not very pleasant to eat. And there's your deconstructed BLT. Take some of our croutons. This is just a sourdough. And there's your finished plate, deconstructed BLT. All right, thanks for joining us. I hope you like the recipes we made. Again, it was a curry apricot carrot cake with the influences from India, as well as a classic American cake. We also did the deconstructed BLT, and that's a great little appetizer, real quick to make, fun for all your guests. If you like what you saw, please join us at KiltedChefLLC.com. You can find me there, ask me questions. You can also find our product, the fresh homemade honey candy, which supports local beekeepers, as well as our new tea line, which also uses the honey candy to sweeten the tea. Thank you very much. Again, my name's Dave Knight, Kilted Chef.